Here's the first story. We've got this from the Post-Millennial. Breaking. Facebook admits censoring iconic photo of Trump surviving assassination attempt. Quote, "This was an error." You know, I got to be honest, after 10 years of errors, I just don't believe you. Because the reality is, what they were doing was labeling the photo as altered. How does this happen? Independent third-party organizations decide to censor it. And Facebook plays this game of, well, I mean, we have nothing to do with it. So here's the story. Reports emerged on X on Monday, indicating that Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook had been censoring photos of Donald Trump, fist raised, face bloodied, after the assassination attempt against him. The photos were censored by third-party fact-checkers who claimed the photo had been altered. Facebook since admitted to censoring the photos in error. The iconic photo, snapped by a photographer for the AP, had been viral on social media before a copy of the photo was edited and circulated, which showed erroneously that Secret Service agents were smiling as they surrounded him after the shooting. While that photo was censored in the aftermath, the original was censored as well. After backlash, Meta admitted that the warning was incorrectly applied and was meant to apply to the altered image showing Secret Service agents smiling. The fact checkers and the AI software had determined that all images that resembled the AP original photo should be removed. Quote, "This was an error. This fact check was initially applied to a doctored photo showing the Secret Service agent smiling, and in some cases, our system incorrectly applied that fact check to the real photo. This has been fixed, and we apologize for the mistake." Now, over on the Google side of things, also from the Post-Millennial, Google is not auto-completing any story on the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Their argument is that they remove suggestions associated with political violence, except when you search, you can see Tucker Carlson, the Pope, Teddy Roosevelt, Truman, but not Donald Trump. They're not omitting it because it's political violence. They're omitting it because it's Donald Trump. And I'll give you some context real quick as to how these third-party fact checkers work. Back in 2020, there was a preliminary story. This is the end of 2020, I think it was the end of 2020. There were the alternate slates of electors being submitted by Republicans for the January 6th vote. I covered this story, and the video I made was titled "Republicans Attempt to Send Alternate Slate of Electors," something like this. Within the first 10 seconds of my video, I said, these are not the duly elected electors to be sent. This is Republicans choosing people of their own volition and challenging the courts. These third-party fact checkers claimed my video was fake news and blocked it on Facebook, and this got me demonetized. And when I reached out to them and said, there's nothing in my video that is fake news, they said, alternate electors are not real electors. And I was like, and? My title did not say they were real. And the first 10 seconds clarified that they were not the official electors, but it doesn't matter. Facebook, I reached out to them specifically, and Facebook staff said, we have nothing to do with this, and you are censored because of a third-party company. Take it up with them. And the third-party company said, oh, we never actually even watched your video. We just flagged it and removed it. That's what Facebook's third-party fact-checking is. It's run through these leftist organizations that determine anything they don't like, they can remove. And this is Zuckerberg, who is allowing all of this to happen, to censor information that would benefit Donald Trump. And it's no surprise that it's happening again, because this is a system that they built.
Yeah, this comes 2 weeks after he did that interview and was like, that photo was badass, and I'm not going to make any endorsements this time. I always interpreted that as posturing to sort of win conservative users back over, because they know ultimately, especially during election year, they're not going to be able to get the kind of information because Facebook intervenes all the time and sort of lies about it. Google is the same, and it's probably true for most mainstream social media platforms, that they'll say, oh, well, people don't want to see political information, so we filter it out. But actually what they're doing is saying we selectively decide and ultimately rely on third parties to give ourselves some kind of defense.
Who are the third parties? I just don't trust these.
Funny how they're always left-leaning, right?
They're all left-leaning.
Yep.
And I think Daily Caller, I think they had factcheck.org or something. There was one conservative organization that got approved, and they were actually honest and fair, and the left lost their minds. Because that's their game. They have to control the narrative because, well, the truth isn't on their side.
And 1 to how many left-leaning organizations? 1 to 10?
Probably more, 50.
Right. There's not even a real effort to be unbiased, and that's what bothers me. I think there are a lot of people who get information predominantly from social media. You're really at the mercies of the overlords there.
Yeah. Didn't Candace sue the fact checkers at some point?
I don't know.
It was a few years ago. Wonder whatever happened to that.
You have to, because they're lying.
Yeah.
and then they get you blocked on Facebook, and then you lose revenue.
Yep.
But they don't have the truth on their side. Donald Trump took a bullet, and they immediately started claiming he didn't even get shot. And then FBI Director Wray, who is a scumbag, also went to Congress and said, we don't even know if he got shot.
What was your take on that as someone who's been sort of in the executive branch?
Well, I worked with the Secret Service for my 2 years. Having the football, they protected me too, so I was in close proximity to them all the time. I mean, we did a lot of advances together, and that thing in Pennsylvania, to me, it just smacked of intentional incompetence. I went to advance meetings with the Secret Service guys. We always went over all of the potential scenarios, how to get them in, how to get them out, and it just the Secret Service guys that I saw in Butler, Pennsylvania, were not the kind of guys and girls I worked with. They're just not.
Intentional incompetence.
Yeah.
So you think somebody wanted him dead?
I do.
I agree.
As in this was allowed circumstance.
I believe that they intentionally, and they probably, this probably wasn't the first event either. They've probably been doing this on his campaign, his rallies for a while, but they were waiting for something to happen that they didn't have to be responsible for, that somebody would take him out. And I guarantee you, I did a lot of advances with the Secret Service. That rooftop would have been taken out way before anybody.
Oh yeah.
Got up there. It was intentional incompetence.
Dan Bongino, who was Secret Service, was like, how is the roof not secured? And he said if you couldn't secure it for whatever reason, you'd block line of sight. And there were windows. And he told this story where he said, we had one building we couldn't secure, so he said, go buy fake snow, and we spread all the windows out. Then you could remove it later.
Right.
Because he's like, look, if they're going to get a shot off, at least it'll be random. In this instance, it was an open door, it was an invitation. And we're getting more and more information that first it was 2 minutes before people are screaming. Then it was they saw him 10 minutes before, then 26, then an hour. Now it's 90 minutes.
90 minutes, and we had an opportunity we had anti-drone people there for the Secret Service who did not anti-drone anything. They let the shooter fly a drone around for a while, and we had the guys that could have taken that out, just jammed it or whatever. We didn't do that either. The incompetence to me, when I worked at the White House, Bongino was on the Secret Service at the same time. Great dude. That Secret Service is not what we're seeing today, not what we're paying for today.
I got to say, though, intentional incompetence, I think you've just got to say intentional. Because the idea of intentional incompetence would be someone in a logistical capacity pulling the strings to make sure the job could not be done properly. That intent means, in and of itself, it's not incompetence. Of the agents themselves,
right?
The next story we're going to jump into in a minute, they got these cell phone messages now. But of the agents themselves, knowing he was there for hours, flying a drone, it's not. I don't even want to blame the good agents, and we need to figure out who those agents were. But if you're an agent and you're like, hey, what's the deal with this threat? And then your boss or superior says, no, don't worry, we've got it under control. You'd be like, okay, all right.
Sure.
And they're lying to you. And they want this thing to happen. That's just intentional.
When I hear intentional incompetence, I hear like they're using incompetence as a shield for the people who want to do it with intent to hide behind, right?
Yes.
Like when you're saying the stuff about the anti-drone, are those people being told to stand down and not mess around with the drone that we are hearing about?
I believe that they were.
That's insane.
I believe that they were, and I believe that our snipers, the Secret Service guys, were basically waiting for the go-ahead to actually pull the trigger. And the fact that Trump was on the stage at all just is beyond any protocol you would ever expect from the President of the United States or a candidate who's for the President of the United States. It just doesn't work.
Right. And let's add into the fact that afterwards now they're censoring the information. Google doesn't autocomplete the story, so you don't stumble upon it. If you're someone who's not paying attention to the news, you're not going to find it. And if you're on Facebook, you'll scroll right past that image because they told you it was fake.
Exactly right.
And how come the only image we see of Crooks is like the 8th grade image?
I thought he's 16. The one in the American flag. Sure.
The one that looks like he's like in a yearbook photo.
Yeah, I had heard that was from when he was 16, which 8th grade, 16, very young.
It just
considering he's like 20 years old now, he's out of high school. He don't even get a driver's license photo.
Just all of that seems like control and intentional incompetence, but like a weird mix of the two.
Or just intentional.
I think a lot of it
And-
is intentional.
Yep.
I also think the world is going through a pandemic of incompetence that the evil people use to hide behind.
We still don't have an official story.
Nope.
No, we don't. No.
And I think that right there is crazy.
Yeah.
Usually they come right out and say X, Y, and Z. Here's how it went down. Here's who the person was. Here's what. This time it's just like, we have no idea.
Yeah.
It's a crazy guy who got his dad's gun, I guess. How did he get through the security? We don't know.
Yeah.
He somehow got on the roof, I guess. And it's like, what's the story? Like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Was there a ladder? Wasn't there a ladder? Where'd the gun come from? Was it pre-staged or was it not? You know,
Right.
Why weren't we flying drones? What?
How did he go back and pick
how
up the
do
gun
you-
from his car to bring it into the secure zone? What
Exactly.
No, there's no story.
No.
And I think it's because their plan screwed up. They were going to blame Iran or something, and now the story makes no sense. They can't roll with it, and they screwed it up.
100%.
Well, let me do this. Let me ask you this question. Having been, in the White House at the time of the Clintons, everybody thinks they're up to no good. There is what started as a meme has now become, it's fascinating. There's the Hillary Clinton meme, right? I should say it's actually a conspiracy. I'll put it this way: starts as a conspiracy theory that the Clintons are involved somehow in the death of all of these people. I don't believe it. If you take a look at any high-profile individual and look at their periphery, there's going to be a bunch of security companies and insurance companies and international diplomats, and you're going to find a network in conflict and crisis of people who die. That being said, a lot of suicides. And so, this conspiracy theory turns into a meme where now even run-of-the-mill Gen Zers, anybody dies, anybody, you name it. Like Toys R Us went out of business, and then someone made the fake tweet of Toys R Us saying, we have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. And teenagers are laughing about it.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.